People love dividend investing because it sounds incredible. You pick a stock, just kick back, and get paid every few months. Passive investing, right? Free money. Except, there's one big problem. Dividends aren't actually free money. So in this video, I'll explain exactly what dividends are, why companies pay them, we'll go over the pros and cons, and then we'll sit down and decide if dividend investing still makes sense in 2026. Let's go. Section 1. What is a dividend? A dividend is simply when a company takes some of its profits and pays it to its shareholders. So if you own shares in a company, you get paid. This payment usually happens every quarter or every 6 months or sometimes every year. And it's normally more common with older, more established companies in sectors like banking, energy, utilities, basically businesses that have large cash flows. This will make more sense in a second when we go over why companies pay dividends, but for these older, more established businesses, there's only so much you can scale, so much you can grow before you reach a point of diminishing returns. At that point, companies will sit down and they may decide to increase the dividends they pay because it makes the most sense. A really simple way of thinking about it is imagine you own part of a local restaurant. At the end of the year, after all the staff are paid, after all the bills are covered, the owner sits down and what's left is the profits. The owner decides that everyone that owns part of the restaurant gets a payment, and that payment is your dividend. Section 2. Why companies pay dividends. Companies basically have two choices with the profits they make. They can either reinvest it back into the business, or they can pay it out to their shareholders. Growth companies usually take most of the profit and reinvest it back into the business. They may want to expand, launch a new product, or hire new staff. That's why most of the big technology companies pay a very small dividend or no dividend at all. They believe they can create more value by keeping the money within the business. But more established legacy companies, they may not need that cash on hand. Instead of letting it just sit there and do nothing, they give it back to their shareholders. Companies like Shell, HSBC, and Coca-Cola are seen as classic dividend stocks. Section 3. Dividends are not free money. Everything so far has been pretty straightforward. It's been easy to follow, right? But this is the section where people can get confused. I've heard dividend payments being described as almost like an interest payment, like a loyalty payment for owning a stock, and it doesn't quite work like that. To help illustrate this, I'm actually going to use a prop. I asked my daughters this morning if they could help me out with a video, and they've kindly let me borrow some of their Lego. Check out this Lego rollerblade. It's pretty cool, right? Now imagine this rollerblade represents a company, and all the tiny pieces make up the value of the company. And in this example, let's just say the total value of the company is £100. At the end of the year, the company decides to pay all of its shareholders a £5 dividend. Now let me show you where that £5 actually comes from. Remember, this is the total value of the company, right? So that £5, shown in this block here, has to come directly out of the company itself. You see, you get your cash payment, which is great, but you still own the company itself, except the company looks a little smaller because each dividend So as I was saying, each dividend payment has to come out of the company itself. It doesn't just magically appear out of thin air. If you put these two side by side, the total value is still £100. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions you hear about when people talk about dividend investing. Section 4. Dividend investing versus growth investing. This is where investors can be split into two camps. You have dividend investors and you have growth investors. Dividend investors tend to want regular cash flow. They prefer mature, established companies because they offer that reliable monthly payment. Growth investors are usually more interested in companies that reinvest their profits so the company can grow faster. Some of these companies may not even pay any dividend at all, but the hope is the value of the company would far outweigh any dividend payment they may have received. A simple way to think about it is like this. A dividend stock is like a tree that bears fruit every year. It's reliable and you know what you're getting. Whereas a growth stock is like a tree that grows over 10 years. You don't see the initial value for those first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but in 10 years' time, it really pays off. And I personally think for a lot of younger investors, especially those with a long time horizon, solely focusing on dividend stocks may be holding you back, missing the forest from the trees, so to speak. Because if you're 25 or 30, you probably have at least another 25 or 30 years of investing left ahead of you. And do you really need those dividend payments right now? You're probably still working, so it might be better off letting companies reinvest those dividends and focus on growth. Section 5, the good side of dividend investing. Now, with all that being said, dividends are definitely not all bad. There's certainly some positives. Firstly, they can provide passive income. Second, dividend-paying companies can sometimes feel more stable because they are often mature businesses. And third, getting paid while markets are falling can help psychologically. Because when your portfolio is down, receiving regular, reliable payments can still feel like progress, and it dampens the blow of seeing the red. And of course, receiving the dividend gives you flexibility. If you didn't want to use the cash, you can always manually reinvest it yourself. And speaking of reinvesting, let me show you what this actually looks like. Again, use another prop. I've got 2 daughters and I promised both of them that I'd use their Lego in this video. Got this speedboat here, driven by 2 turtles. Just like before, the company pay you a piece of their profit as a cash dividend. But instead of using that cash, you reinvest it back into the company. And with that extra money, they can reinvest into innovation. I'm going to try and do this on camera while I speak to you. But like I was saying, they can reinvest into innovation, and what was once just a speedboat, with the extra funds they have due to the dividend payment, is now a speedboat that's turned into a car. Pretty cool, right? This is also a great example to show just how powerful compounding can be. If you keep taking those dividend payments and not reinvest them into your portfolio, you may limit the potential of the growth. So by the time you retire and you need it, you may not be able to drive off in that Lamborghini you thought you could afford. Section 6, the dividend trap. This is where you have to be careful, because sometimes people chase the highest dividend yields possible. People see a stock paying 10 or 12% and they think, sign me up. But a very high dividend yield may not always be a good thing. It may be a warning sign. Remember, the dividend yield is based on the share price. So if a share price drops heavily, the yield can look really attractive, but it doesn't tell the full story. For example, if a company was paying £5 per share when the share price was £100, that's a 5% yield. But if the share price crashes to £50 and the company is still paying £5, suddenly the yield is 10%. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a better investment. In fact, it could mean that the business is struggling. And if a company decides to cut dividend payments later on to save money, the share price can drop even further. So like I said, a high dividend yield doesn't always mean it's a good investment. Section 7. When should you focus on dividend investing? I'll just give you one example of when dividend investing may make a lot of sense. Let's say you're someone who's approaching retirement. Your priorities at that stage in your life are completely different. When you're younger, you're focusing on accumulation. You're more resilient to risk, and you can ride out the volatility in the stock market. But as you get older and closer to retirement, you may not want to be exposed to growth stocks, which can be quite volatile. The last thing you want just before you retire is for a market crash to happen and your portfolio drops by 30 or 40%. Then a pot that was supposed to last you for 30 or 40 years can only hold you for 10 or 20. This is when dividend-paying companies can become really useful. They're usually larger, more established businesses, and they may be less volatile because of that. And perhaps most importantly, they can provide you an income without you having to actually sell your investment. At this point in your investing journey, your portfolio may be quite big, so a dividend payment will be quite significant. And you don't have to go through the mental hurdle of deciding when to sell. Is it too high? Is it too low? All of that just gets removed and the dividend automatically gets paid to you every month, every 6 months, every year. Because if you're retired or close to it, that's likely when you need your portfolio to start working for you. So instead of solely relying on growth stocks, dividend paying stocks is a nice way of supplementing that strategy with passive income. For example, if you had a portfolio that paid 4 or 5% in dividends a year, that could help cover bills, the food shop, maybe a holiday. And there's just something nice about being paid a dividend without having to sell part of your investment every month. So for younger investors, growth stocks may make more sense, but as you get older, you may want to consider increasing your exposure to dividend paying stocks as a way of de-risking and rebalancing your risk assessment based on your current circumstances. Dividend investing can absolutely be a great strategy, but it all depends on context. And just remember, it's certainly not free money. If you learned something in the video, make sure you let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe to the channel for more personal finance content. I'm gonna go and fix this Lego before my daughters get home. And on that note, I'll catch you in the next one, guys.